Good morning, everyone. Good morning. For those I do not know, my name is Laura Stewart, and I am the Executive Vice President at the Forsyth County Chamber of Commerce. I also have the pleasure of serving as the staff liaison to the Chamber's Healthcare Association. So wanted to welcome everyone to today's Practice Managers Roundtable. And for those who I didn't get a selfie with at the Northside kickoff event back in January, wanted to say Happy New Year to you guys. The rest of y'all, it was great to kick off the new year with y'all at the conference center. So we're excited to be back for our Roundtable series, and we're kicking it off with a full team. We're going to lean into the team building today, you guys, and so appreciative that these roundtables really happen because of teamwork, and happen because of the businesses championing healthcare and championing your industry in our community. We have our co-presenting sponsors for this year's series, both Brandywine Printing and Synovus. Our Healthcare Hero sponsors are Central EMS and Assisted Living Locators. And as I mentioned, this year we have co-title sponsors. One of these sponsors I know for many of you is a familiar face. He has joined us before, and his jokes are becoming quite the Healthcare Association tradition. I have heard he has been working on one for us today. So you guys, please join me in welcoming Derek Brooks of Brandywine Printing up for his comments and jokes.
Good morning. Yeah, when I walked in this room, I did not know what joke I was going to tell, so we'll see how it goes. So, but before I do, I'm Derek Brooks with Brandywine Printing, and Brandywine Printing exists for one reason. We help organizations succeed, and we do it by providing printed materials that either improve their image or make them more efficient. One of the things that I've noticed recently with folks like you, so we have a very robust website ordering portal, and it allows multi-location or large organizations with departments manage their print ordering. So we can set up based on user, like this person has access to these, it can only order this many dollars or this many quantities or whatever, this location, we can set all kinds of guidelines. We can even set an approver in your organization. So all of your people place orders, it goes to you before it comes to us. So if that's attractive to you, ask me about it. And I know we're helping a bunch of you already, and we may not have promoted that. So, but it's become valuable, it looks like. So, so here's the thing. The guy comes into the doctor's office, and he's got a carrot sticking out of this ear, banana sticking out of this ear, broccoli hanging out of his nose. He says, "Doctor, what's wrong with me?" Doctor says, "Well, you're obviously not eating right." I got another one. Okay, all right. What was that other one? I got another one. Okay, here's the last one. Last one. So the guy goes in, he's having a major medical procedure done, and he's worried. He goes, "Am I going to be able to play the violin after this?" The doctor says, "Of course." He says, "Great, I've never been able to before."
Thanks, Derek. So another key individual that honestly has been involved with the Healthcare Association for longer than many of us, myself included, that you may or may not be familiar with, is our good friend Matt McClure. Matt was one of the founding members, I believe, of the Healthcare Association's Advisory Council, the group that continuously meets throughout the year to help me produce programming that I hope to be valuable for you guys. Matt is with Synovus and is one of our title sponsors for this year's series. Please join me in welcoming Matt to the Practice Managers Roundtable.
Well, good morning. It's always tough when you got to come up behind a comedic person such as my buddy over here. Synovus has been very involved in the Healthcare Association and myself specifically for about 14, 15 years now. It's what I do. Most of my clients are in the medical field. And one of the things we work very closely with is understanding the unique challenges in the Healthcare and Medical Association. Everybody thinks that medical practice operates like any other business, and once you start explaining how different it is than most businesses and the unique challenges of working with patients and also working with physicians, you get to understand it's a very unique business. At Synovus, we understand, and we spend a lot of time really getting to the root understanding how your business functions and where you need really financial and banking support. Today's topic is actually very relevant because we're talking about culture. And I walked in this morning and Laura walked up to me and said, I really didn't recognize you with your name tag on. And you'll see that it says Synovus up here, but my name tag says Pinnacle. So what's unique about my world right now is my bank, which sounds big, was about a $65 billion bank, and Pinnacle Financial Bank, which is about a $60 billion bank, merged in January. So we're going through that exact framework of culture, trying to bring two large institutions together to figure out how to function together without causing any disruption to our clients. And that's very interesting. So I'm fascinated to hear about the topic today. But more important to say is that when you get into culture, your bank should be a cultural fit with your business as well. Your bank should have a cultural fit with you, understanding how you want to function, understanding your key requirements for your business, understanding what drives the positions, because all positions are different. So I welcome conversation. I've worked with some of you in the past. I welcome an opportunity to speak to you. If there's anything that you are interested in learning about how we handle financial banking support for practices, please come see me afterwards. Thanks, Laura.
Thank you, Matt. And of course, another stakeholder in the Chamber's Healthcare Association since its inception is our host here at Northside Hospital for Side. So I'm going to ask Kathy Galbraith to just come up and give a welcome here into their space to you guys this morning. Kathy?
Hey, good morning, everybody. How are you? Some of you guys are alive, thanks to Derek, right? So a couple of shout outs. I guess I want to make sure you guys do know Amy Fisher in the back of the room wave. You know, she is our COO with us this morning. Do a couple shout outs. Obviously, I love bragging about people too. I want to make sure you guys see wave Peter. When you think about just being able to design, you know, flyers, marketing, logo redesign, I work very closely with Peter. I always try to work with people that make my life easier, right? Okay, so shout out to Peter, shout out to Derek. I mean, they make my life so easy. So if you guys do need their services, they are here, they're local, which is super great because then we can find out where they live if they mess up. You know? So, I don't think I can be funnier than Derek, but how was the parking this morning? Not bad. Oh, I don't know. I was like ready for people to throw rocks at me. I was like, well, get used to it because it's not going away. So obviously you guys know we're up under a lot of construction. Not really going to talk about it, but because you've got to come again next year, January 20th, mark your calendar. Already planning January 20th is the kickoff. I don't see anybody ready to tell. Did you guys not have fun? Oh my gosh. All right. So January 20th is the January kickoff that I love doing and just showing our appreciation to all of you all. Yes, it is a wedding-like event, so we do plan it a year out. So we are going to be gearing up for that. I don't want to steal anybody's thunder, but I love this race. There is a Boulder Dash flyer right on your table. You guys, this is the only chance you get to go into the rock quarry here in Cumming. And they used to have a 10K that I almost died, so it's only 5K now. So come, you can bring your dogs, you can walk it, you can run it. Amy will win it again, so I'm sorry, you know, don't even try. But it is the environment is super, like just the vibe is high. The workers in the quarry come out, they cheer us on. They have huge machines. If you've never seen those machines, it's crazy, just neat to be out there. So even if you're not a runner like me anymore, just come out and have fun. There's also a spring fling vendor, kind of a health fair at the end. That's super fun if you just want to come out and participate in that. So not to steal your thunder, but I love that event. So we're excited to sponsor that one as well. So have a good morning, you guys. Super excited about our topic. Whatever you think about, like obviously bringing a team together. I always think about sports, keeping people motivated, keeping people going in the right direction. Of course, we always want that win for everybody, for yourself and for the team. So I'm super excited to hear from our speakers this morning. Thanks.
Thank you, Kathy. Well, like Kathy said, today is all about team building. So we had to have a team of facilitators to help us navigate this topic. One is a longtime friend of Healthcare Association. Some of you hopefully attended a previous session with Lauren Funk. He served as the Chief Operations Officer for Longstreet Clinic for more than 30 years. So he knows your world very well. And Karen Walters is a longtime friend of the Chamber of Commerce. I'm excited to introduce her to the Healthcare Association today. But Karen has been in facilitation spaces for the Chamber before because she is an HR powerhouse, having served in this capacity with organizations like the Atlanta Falcons and Atlanta United. So we're so excited to have them, the team of them, to share with us today on team building. Please welcome them up here with me, Lauren and Karen. Thank you.
It always comes down to KD, doesn't it? So we are very excited to be here with you this morning. I was really appreciative of Laura calling and asking me if we'd be interested. But when she mentioned the subject, I was a little nervous because even after all that time in a large organization, I'm always a little intimidated from the HR perspective. So I decided I was going to ask my good friend Karen to help us out today. So the way we're going to do this, I'm not going to ask you to raise your hands, but if you know or remember who Phil Donahue was. Oh, I didn't ask you to raise your hand, but they did. Okay, so Phil Donahue, he had a talk show when talk shows were, well, before Jerry Springer and all that stuff. It was a real talk show, serious issues, but he just had a great way of getting not only the information and the interviewing very interesting people, but a lot of involvement from the audience. So I prepared a couple of questions that I think would be relevant to us from an HR perspective, but in the healthcare space. But if I miss anything as we're going to the discussion, it's on y'all, right? So I'm going to get us started with a question for our expert. But before we do that, tell us a little bit more about your time with Falcons and the Arthur Blank.
So I'm like Lauren, I have a few decades of experience, and I fell into the HR world kind of accidentally, but I spent half my career in IT, that industry, and then I decided to move over to the NFL. I used to work in Flowery Branch at the practice facility, and then we opened a stadium downtown. Anybody been to Mercedes-Benz Stadium? Yeah, so I left a few years ago, left the Falcons to start my own little business. So I'm happiest now, but I'm grateful for the experiences that I've had, just learning not only the nuts and bolts of HR and compliance and all that stuff, but more, my bigger passion is in building a workplace culture where people really want to come to work.
And we need that, don't we? All right, well, let's get started. So I'm going to start off with a question that will probably lead into some discussion about teams, and that's about building the team in our offices. And I was thinking specifically about some of the challenges around bringing together our front office and our back office. I mean, I've heard about that for as long as I've been around. And I think some of the stress sometimes is heightened by, especially on the clinical staff side, they're likely to be working more closely with the providers. So that can sometimes build in some, just some, not conflict, but just some misunderstanding maybe. So my question for you is, how can an administrator foster a collaborative team culture in that kind of environment where you've got usually two teams that are doing different stuff?
Kind of two teams within the one team.
Right.
Yeah. Lauren and I were talking about this before, and he said the term there's an understood line between the two. And I was thinking about that, you know, handing back the camera, taking a big picture view is what's the purpose of that understood line between the two teams? You know, there's probably some good purpose to it. And maybe you could add to what I'm thinking, but so if you have clinical and then front office, maybe there's a dividing line because we all have to be able to focus, right, on our work.
Maybe there's some privacy issues, like let's not be running back and forth. Am I on the right track, or what would be the reason for a line between those two teams? That's a good reason. Anybody?
So in our when we also had walk model and my shoes. So basically, so basically what we do is we have like walk a mile in our shoes. It is a book. It's mostly for managers and for employees to have them see what it's like to be on the other flip side. But we also incorporated it with clinical and administrative. So clinical sits with the administrative team when they first come on board, and they train within every single department there is. So it will be front desk, which is the worst job, I think, in front. Because they try to deal with the patients. They are the first face of the company and everything. But then they go ahead and they sit with, bariatric coordinator. They'll sit with the dietitians. They'll sit with desk young ladies, filling and coding. So everybody gets an idea of what everybody else's job is like to be doing it, because a lot of times they just think, oh, well, they have it so easy. So when you do that and you cross-train, I think that really helps.
That's awesome. Good point.
And I know you can't cross-training in clinical, so we don't have a front desk doing clinical work.
They're not diagnosing. Yeah.
But they also see what it's like to run around the office as a clinical person, attending to every need of the doctors too, and the patients. So it helps. It helped, and we've retained our staff for over 5 years now.
Yeah, that's very wise. Very wise. And
I think one thing that causes the line is the fact that the back office, they're provider driven in terms of wanting to please the providers and do everything on time for them, especially with us being a surgical practice. And the front office is more patient driven in terms of, I need to please this patient because I don't want to get screamed at and I don't want to, be frowned upon. And so they're pleasing two different parties. So it's like, where do they meet in that middle?
I love that. I love both of those comments. And I think it's probably both. There's probably a good reason for the dividing line, because you don't want chaos. But then there's probably also some missed opportunities, because I don't care what the industry is, at the end of the day, I think we enjoy being a part of something where we feel like we belong. We're all in this together. We have a shared purpose. I feel like, there's open doors around here. So the missed opportunity, I think, of taking it too far and having these two camps would be, maybe your team isn't going to feel very engaged. They're not going to be innovating on your behalf and feel this huge connection to the purpose of the organization. So I will give you a football story regarding this, because it immediately came to my mind. Is in Flowery Branch, there is half the building is football operations. So that's coaches and scouts. The other half of the building is front office, business operations. And there's 32 NFL teams, and most of those you have to have a special key, to be able to get over into the football operations side. And it's for those reasons, like we got to focus and there's privacy and get out of here type of thing. But Arthur Blake, who's the co-founder of Home Depot, when he purchased the Falcons, he brought along with him a set of core values. And one of those core values is called include everyone. And that kind of is like a compass for him. He's like, okay, this is what I believe, include everyone. So we're not going to have a special key that you need to get over into this area. We're going to make it open. What comes along with that is trust and respect. We have to understand the context of what's going on in the building. So if let's say it's training camp, there's a day when you go from a huge squad and people are getting cut, they're not going to make the team. That would be a day when people are very sad and on that side of the building. So the people in business operations are not going to kind of walk around over there. And, there's also benefit to the coaches helping out in marketing and in community relations. So I think having that core value is like, this is how we're gonna operate as a team, is we're gonna collaborate and we're gonna have an open flow. So, because everybody has great ideas, and when you have that line, you're maybe not be that likely to hear the ideas. So your point about walking in my shoes, absolutely, like we're all people. And so we don't necessarily have to have that strict, don't come over here, because you're gonna miss out on having an engaged team.
So we've heard about in building the team, training and all of the different areas, the walking in the shoes. Right? Is there anything else practical that you can think of that, like, I'm in the midst of a firestorm in my office because they're fighting? What's the first thing that I could do to help foster that environment?
So your question is in regards to the line, or just in general?
In regards to the line, overcoming the any kind of disconnection between the two teams.
Well, I think there's times of pressure and stress, and then there's times when there's less pressure and stress. And I think when the team can come together and cross those lines, we used to have a kickball game and picnics, and probably everybody does stuff like that. But you get to know each other as people, and then in your developing a rapport, you're kind of rooting for each other inside work and outside of work. And so when there are pressure moments, you've got that foundation of human connection and trust in one another.
Anybody else? Any other thoughts on that? All right, so, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Because we're like you, sorry. The front desk and the clinical staff, they all have to know that they are treated the same. And I have heard in some offices that the clinical staff will sometimes, they think they're over or that they're better than the front office staff. And so you really do have to create a culture where everybody is treated the same, because each have their individual jobs, which are very important. And so in my office, we make sure that whether you're clinical, whether you're front desk, you're treated the same. You're not over them, you're not better than them, they're not better than you. And so they work together very, very well. So I think you have to have that.
I love that. I'm sure that helps a lot. I'll even take it a step further and say that, in an org chart, it's like a triangle where the person who's in charge is at the top of the org chart, and then the people below, right, are at the bottom of the organization. Our mentality was, let's flip that to where the owner or the president or the provider or whoever's in charge is sitting at the bottom, is the least important person. And if you don't mind me giving another analogy just from my background with the stadium, because I think it might illustrate a point that you're making, and it's such a good point. We're all people at the end of the day. When we opened the stadium, we had to hire 4,000 people quickly. So these were 4,000 folks that were going to serve the needs of our 70,000 fans in the building. And so there's only one Arthur Blank, and there's 4,000 people serving the needs of 70,000. And Arthur, during a game, is in the suite eating great food probably, and he would like to make every fan smile and give them all a memorable moment, but there's only one of him. So his mentality was, we want those front-facing, customer-facing people, the 4,000, to feel like they're the CEO. Like, I'm not the CEO, they're the CEO. They're the CEO of the moment. And in that moment, we wanted those people to feel inspired and empowered to make a difference in the life of the person that was right in front of them. And if they don't feel safe, if they don't feel inspired, if they feel like they're really just executing tasks and responsibilities on a job description and it stops right there, there's really not a lot of awesomeness that's going to come from that. But there is a lot of awesomeness will come when people are told, no, use your judgment, use your noggin, and use your special skills and abilities and gifts to make an impact on the people, the customers staring you in the face, because you're the CEO of the moment. that flipping the triangle to where the leader is at the bottom is where you get results that go beyond what you could imagine. That kind of jive with what you're saying? Yeah.
So in that vein, the other person in this scenario is the physician. Do we have any physicians here today? Good, okay, so we can speak freely. So in building, Karen, help us with this. So in building a team culture,
Okay.
we have the two teams we've already talked about, front office, back office, maybe some other clinical type teams, groups of people in the organization. But a very important part of this is the physician. And in my experience, this is a very generalized statement, but with working with physicians, and of course they're all different, but they're trained to be very independent. They, when they're in a situation, which is what we want, I mean, I want the guy to know exactly what they're doing if I'm in an acute situation, but also in a non-acute situation, they're on point. It's on them, it's their responsibility. They shoulder all of the burden. So that mindset can carry over into how they interact with other people. And it's just something that we have to learn to deal with. So what advice would you give us for helping the physician to be a part of that team culture as well and not be kind of isolated?
Yeah, I think before we rush to the how, I think it's the why. That individual understanding why, what's the benefit of engaging with all of these coworkers? Like, is it really worth my time? And I think there's such a huge benefit to that connection. And I think I would tell those folks that they have a superpower, whether they realize it or not. And I say superpower because the power of their thank you and the power of their time and like care, human connection with members of the team, even if it's short time, there's like an exponential impact, I think, to them taking the time to inquire on how someone's doing and thanking them. So it's like, is kryptonite, is that a word? Like a superpower. Like, you have this kryptonite because I can.
Actually, kryptonite is bad.
Is bad? Okay. Pretend it's good. Pretend it's good.
You must be a Marvel.
I don't know. But they have this valuable power that has an exponential impact on others, and so don't be stingy with it. I will share an analogy as well, just from my background. There's a gentleman named Rich McKay, and he was president of the football team when I was there. And I felt like he was pretty wise in this area. Busy guy, had that superpower that he knew that if he was going to thank somebody or have a human connection with somebody on our team, even though he didn't have a lot of time, he knew that there was going to be an exponential impact of that. So one thing that we did is we took these NFL footballs and we had them stitched with people's names on them whenever somebody was really living a core value of ours, and that became the award that we gave out, was here's this football. And he wanted to be involved in the ceremonies whenever possible because he knew he had that superpower. And to illustrate that point, a former coworker of mine, I noticed recently, he had that football as his profile picture on LinkedIn. So it was like he's taking away his identity and his space, and he's just putting that football. To me, that means that meant something to him, you know? And so that engagement and excitement and like feeling and retention, and we all know turnover is pricey. But so I think the power of a thank you. Another thing that Rich was wise about was the power of letting people see behind the curtain. And what I mean by that is people who are maybe in the medical industry, certainly in football, they're interested in the topic, you know, sort of the big picture. And so one thing he said to me was, let's have roundtables where we invite people and they're in business operations in football. These are typically people who geek out a lot in sports. I wasn't really one of those, but they really want to know about football. They like hearing about football. So in these roundtable meetings, he would listen to everyone's ideas, but then he would take some time to share what's going on at the league office, what's going on with the kickoff rule, what are we talking about with concussions, what's going on with kids in sports, like these big picture concepts that honestly the people in the room really didn't need to know about to do their job, but they were, their eyes were like saucers, like he's telling me about what's happening behind the scenes, you know? So he knew that was like a kryptonite, even though kryptonite is a bad thing. It was like, wow, like they're engaged. He's trusting me to tell me this stuff. So in your industry, maybe that's something there is letting people, if a physician is letting the team know safe stuff, the big picture. Last thing I'll say that he was wise about in this regard of how you could leverage a physician is we turned him into a teacher, kind of like a professor. So smart guy, busy guy, but he had a lot of really cool responsibilities. One of them was negotiating the stadium deal with the state, city, the politicians, all that stuff. Such a complex transaction. And so he knew a thing or two about negotiation skills. So we said, all right, we're going to turn you into a teacher. And you're going to teach these team members about negotiation skills. He loved it. You know, he liked talking. And the people in the room, again, were like taking in every word he said, learning about negotiation skills. So I don't know if that transfers to the question you're asking.
What do y'all think? Do you think so?
So in our practice, the providers are part of our staff meetings because they need to understand what the front office or the medical assistants are going through. So we have those conversations. They're also part of our celebrations. So when we're doing our birthdays or anniversaries or baby showers, they're also part of that. So it's just become seamless where the staff, they feel, providers are approachable. And our providers are always been very open to explain, to teach, to show. So it helps in terms of that culture for the practice, the relationships. So it's not as if, I'm the provider, you are the MA, you're the front office. We all get along together because at the end of the day, we are a team. We kind of gel with each other.
That's exciting. Does anybody else have that? No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think that when you're trying to engage a physician or a provider with the rest of the team, part of something that could be valuable is making sure that they understand the common goal. So identifying a common goal between the physician and the front office or the administration and the clinical, like when you emphasize what that common goal is, it makes it easier for people to come together because they have a unified focus. So identifying what matters to the physician and identifying what matters to the administration and figuring out how to make those mesh is a good way to kind of create that unity.
So wise. Yeah, and connecting what the two of you just said, taking the time to do that. So attending the meetings, hey, it's not just, listening, but more sharing, like, hey, let's refresh our memory here on why we're here and big picture and keeping the team engaged because the work is tough. The work is tricky.
Does anyone have a provider that comes to mind when you think of somebody that could be a teacher? And would they want to do that, you think? What kind of things would you think that they might could teach your staff?
We kind of in our practice. We actually have our physician assistants specifically do a quarterly lunch and learn. So as a practice, we identify a skill that may not be at the top of our skill set. And then we ask one of our physician assistants to teach during lunch. So we provide a lunch for our staff, and then that gives the staff direct access at a good time to ask questions. Because sometimes that can be one of the barriers is every moment is not always a teaching moment, and staff understanding that is sometimes challenging, and then providers get frustrated that we're holding up clinic or whatever the case is. So that gives them like a safe space to open up and ask these questions, but it also gives them face time with providers that they may not get FaceTime with. So identifying skills that we need to work on, but then also opening up the floor for good conversation, good questions, in a productive way is something that we've already kind of established.
Thank you for sharing that.
The last one we did was drain removal. We don't do them often, but they're very important to know how to do.
The technical.
So even for the front people,
The are
so they don't need to know that, but it's kind of, I would be interested to know that.
well, it helps you triage patients that I'm in so much pain. Well, they're post-surgical. It's important to know they're post-surgical. We can get them back a lot faster than it hurts to go to the restroom. So with their triage skills as well, a little bit of that.
That's magic right there.
Challenge question. But not always cheerleader. So, you know, I think applaud those that are in small offices, that spoke up, you know, like under, 5 to 10 employees in one location, very competitive people that have one large office, let's say just here with almost 100 employees, 13 locations, 13 surgery centers. And of course, you have a culture or teamwork at one location, but of course, you think about brand, you think about how it's word of mouth, you think about, of course, different employees, if they're super happy here, and then maybe people aren't happy at the same time as this, but different location, and it's slowly expensive, if somebody wants to transfer, like, man, that place looks fun, or, brand manager, or whatever, still, that shift, be higher. So it's like, how do you manage all of that? Or maybe they could be willing to speak up. I mean, it's just very challenging.
With the multiple, yeah.
Culture.
Yeah.
We hear it all the time. Of course, like, it's like, this is the place to be. But, we are working on making sure that everybody feels that.
Wow, so good. Yeah, I mean, let's go back in time. This is a great point. Let's talk about Home Depot, since Arthur was the co-founder of Home Depot. At one point in time, they had one store. And they had really figured some things out with that. It was like, this is how we're gonna run this store. And they had a really awesome culture in that one store. But soon they had 100 stores. And then more. And so they were scratching their head like, well, how are we gonna have 5,000 stores, and they're going to all have a different culture. The obvious answer would be to have a set of core values and to really actually have leaders in each location who are walking those out with using them as a compass in their daily decisions. And so, I mean, do you feel like you have that? I mean, is it okay? So yeah, I think that's the foundation is. We hear that term core values and we know they're on the wall, whatever. Yeah.
Kind of what you're talking about. I mean, if everybody just function like the CEO or like everybody's the doctor in the practice, which the goal is patient care and good care and patient experience, and if everybody behaves that way, where the eye on the prize is a patient. Then what we go up is starting to talk all the different personalities, different positions, the way, yes, there's standards, and there's efficiency and things like that. But again, it's almost like every location is different.
Yeah, I think putting leaders in each location who know that their title is culture builder. And what that means is every day you are leading with those values. You're talking about them, you're teaching about them in the staff meeting. You're actually making decisions of who should work here and who shouldn't work here based on those core values. You're making unconventional decisions about how you're investing in the team based on those core values. That way you don't have some who are feeling left out because this isn't the best place to work, but that one looks like it's awesome. Easy for me to say that, but it is prioritizing, the workplace culture. Now, is there a business benefit to that? You better believe it. As I just said, retention is key, and we all know that turnover is expensive. It's 50 to 200% of the salary is what you're spending whenever you lose somebody by, refilling that role. And then if you have people who work for you who are disengaged, they're like, oh, no one's listening to me. No one cares about my ideas. They don't have staff meetings where they do these things. They don't teach, us anything. Number one, you'll lose them. But before you lose them, they're bitter. And they're just not bringing their best self. They're not living out their purpose in their role. So there's a business benefit to culture building. And I know I'm oversimplifying this. We did have this, if I could give a quick example. Flowery Branch used to be the place to work. This is all the cool people are in Flowery Branch. Well, then we had these other offices, and Arthur had all these things going on, and we built a stadium. Then it was like, oh, the people in Flowery Branch get forgotten. Like, oh, the stadium's the place to be. And so I think as an HR person, those individuals have a very unique opportunity to keep their eye on that, to have their finger on the pulse of who feels left out, which leaders are not living the values. How can we cross-pollinate and have events, or maybe we're going to train, but we're going to strategically pull these people in, or we're going to have this one mentor that one across facility. You can create a whole web of cross-pollination with facilities so that people are meeting each other, learning from each other, and holding your leaders accountable to leading from below the bottom of the triangle, and not having leaders who aren't doing that, because if you do, then those aren't your values.
All right, I cannot believe that it's fun like this. So is there anything that is burning question that we have not touched that you would like for us to talk about, which is the whole problem?
Good morning. Sorry, I know not everybody wants to be here too long, but I actually have a problem because we have so many amazing people in the room that I would love just some advice and some wisdom. So we've been purchased for the second time. We have 15 locations, 34 providers. And we're from Villa Rica, Douglasville, like we've got Ackworth, Spalding, and then Cumming, Johns Creek, and Roswell. So we're like all over the place. So it's very difficult to cross-pollinate, but what we're feeling right now is that admin doesn't even know what to do. Like admin feels uncertain. We're not getting a lot of advice. Like as managers of our own locations, we're not getting like what you guys are all saying, how to communicate with your providers that this is our goal anymore. So we're feeling a little bit lost, and we're trying to work together to just be culture, branders or whatever of our own teams. But that's really hard when like everything feels uncertain and like we are the only positive ones that anyone's encountering. So any advice on that would be great. Yeah.
Wow. And I just lived at Johns Creek, so I mean something. Okay, so I don't know if there's a correlation with this. This could get really deep, so I'll try to keep it. But what would you say your role is?
What is my actual role?
Yeah.
I'm an office manager.
Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
So, but you don't feel like the administration over the whole organization is really.
We're not a cohesive unit at the moment because there's things that they're being told that they don't even want to have to tell us to do, but there's not a lot of positivity in the delivering of that information. We're just told to tell people, hey, your hours are cut. Like there's no explanation, there's no like, hey, send this person home. But there's no like why. There's no assistance with the how to communicate that. Like this is a room full of people that understand the difficulty of like how to communicate and be positive when there's really nothing to be positive about. So we're just struggling with our why.
Yeah. COVID?
I'll share a thought or two for you.
And again, so that's in from the top. Or, explanation groups in positions, administrators, and that you're in a position on the top, here. how can you be a culture changer?
Yeah.
Not that you're down here, but again, it's like you're up against of that, or
Yeah.
and that's when people leave.
Yeah, I mean, we can all choose where to work, and sometimes, you can be a light in the realm of.
You would prefer that you choose.
Yeah, yeah, I mean. Yeah, I think you can do the best you can do with your sphere of influence, There's purpose in our work, and I think someone on this side said that it is so important to, when you get up in the morning and you're getting dressed and you go in, do you see yourself as an office manager, or do you see yourself as some other identity? I'm bringing comfort to people, or, I'm the calm and the chaos for people, or, what is that meaningful purpose for you to be a point of joy for folks who are not feeling well? That's up to you to decide if your practice hasn't sort of helped you figure that out, or if you don't all have a common identity and higher purpose. But when we view our work as transactions, there's only so long that we're going to stay engaged and do that. But when we're each day stepping into a purpose, now if the entire organization is excited about that and living that out and talking about that in their morning huddle, every day, or all the better. If it's only you living out that purpose, then you just have to kind of block out the things that are, tearing you down, and try to make a difference each day in people's lives. So that's sort of obvious, but yeah, there is a payoff to that of helping people see the bigger purpose in what they're doing.
And it's hard to do. Like having been in a position support from above, kind of had to make my own decisions. So what can I do to create that environment in my own office? And then maybe they catch on and think, wow, she's doing a really good job. Let's take what she's doing and create that in other areas. Haven't quite gotten to that point yet, but I'll tell you the culture I feel is in my office when I first walked in the doors. But it's not because somebody told me, yes, do all these things. It's because I just got tired of looking at it and said, you know what, I'm just going to do this. And it's amazing how if you can take control, I think your subordinates, for lack of a better word, they feel empowered by it because you're making an action. You're being the change maker. And I think that's really
important. How do I have this conversation with that? Because that's what I would love. I've been at this company for 16 years, and I feel like it is my duty to say, hey, we're not acting like who we are. It's like,
And it's been, and we've had this culture before. It's just the shift with some changes in.
You're being bought out. What their little world looks like to you, because it's probably like
that's
So be that person. Have that conversation. If that conversation doesn't go anywhere, be the change manager. So I just wanted you to know this is my thoughts and this is what I wanted to do. I don't think you're going to get a lot of changes.
As being a Packers fan down here helps you. And I know Peter, I know. All right, well, this has been great. We'll talk to y'all some more. Y'all might become our special project. But before we go, thank you so much for having us. I hope this was helpful and gave you some energy about going back to your offices. The thing that I'll end with is just how important your role is. So as much as you are leading and you're coaching your staff, I hope that you have someone that coaches you, that you have someone that you can lean on, that you can call. And a group like this is a great place to find that. So I will encourage you with that if you don't already have that. So thank you again very much.
Thanks so much, Lauren and Karen. We appreciate you guys. Thank you all for being a part in this morning. really made us a true team at this morning's roundtable, so I appreciate it. Thank you. Kathy mentioned it, but speaking of teams, did want to be sure that you have your team signed up for our corporate challenge Boulder Dash 5K race coming up later this spring. You have a flyer there at your seat. Please be sure, we would love to have the Healthcare Association not only as our host, but also well represented that day. And if your practice is interested in sponsoring that, having a table at our spring fling at the end of the race, please come see me or Jesse in the back. We'll get you in touch with some of our team members who can help with that if you all have interest. I also wanted to make mention about our next roundtable because it is coming up quickly. So I will see you guys in really just 2 months at our next roundtable. We'll be back here on April 30th. And per your survey feedback, we've got another co-facilitator team, so we're staying in that lane for a bit. But this team will be helping us tackle the tricky topic of workplace violence and personal safety in the workplace. So please be sure to mark your calendars for that. We'll be sending you guys reminders. Thank you to our virtual audience for attending. We had some folks zooming in with us this morning. But the benefit to being here in person, besides the coffee, are our raffle prizes. So Jesse will shut down our virtual audience. If you're here in person, hang for a minute for raffles.